Hey, Carrie Burchell here with North Star Coaching. I love doing my weekly lives. I vacillate between Facebook and LinkedIn and then just ad hoc do them on Instagram. So you'll catch me every now and again. But today is not me talking about the consulting work that I'm involved in. This is me, Carrie, talking with you as a colleague and friend and someone else who's just trying to grow and be your best. So let me get real with you today and share this epiphany that I had just the other day. I was traveling for some work, and I've been reading this book by Tom Ziegler, 10 Leadership Virtues for Disruptive Times. Kind of a quick read, kicked it off on a flight, and it had a line in there that really got my attention. So I need to sort of back up and tell you about my previous way of thinking and working through some stuff personally in my own development, and then tell you about this line that caught my attention. So if you're game, journey with me. So for a while, I've been aware of this tendency that in certain circumstances, I may keep myself in the shadows. Like I may not go to the center of the room or really enjoy that spotlight or shine my brightest. And I can think of a few different metaphors that sort of get at that feeling, but there's this like reluctance to be my best. And I've talked with several people about it. I have a coach. Good coaches have good coaches. So I've got a coach talking through it and started actually engaging with a leadership academy group that I run. And part of what makes this group sort of special is we measure our soft skill development. So I was measuring what I call the oomph factor. And that's every time that I recognized I was sort of reluctant or standing in the shadows. And when I got over whatever that hump was to get in the middle of the room and shine my brightest. And so for this whole year, I've been tracking literally numbers and incidents and dates, how often I get over my oomph factor. So this has been top of mind for a while, and I've been getting better at it. Certainly, I sort of call myself a newish entrepreneur, even though I've had my business since 2018. I've been like solo doing only my consulting business since September, and there have been lots of opportunities for the oomph factor to kind of creep in and me to get over it. So all good momentum, happy with how I'm doing, reporting out in my Leadership Academy group on how this is going. And then I was reading this book 2 days ago on the leadership virtues in disruptive times, leadership virtues for disruptive times. And the author, Tom Ziegler, talks in there about a question he poses himself, which is, how can I have the biggest impact? And I thought, like, of course that makes sense. That's the whole purpose of me doing the work I'm doing. And I bet you're thinking, how can I have the biggest impact? Like, yeah, who doesn't want to have the biggest impact, right? So I've noticed that on these lives, sometimes I catch myself. It turns out that a nervous titch I have is scratching my nose. Sidebar. You can tell I'm vulnerable talking to you about this, like from the heart, because it's now getting real. So how can you have your biggest impact? Isn't that what we all want to do? Well, as I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days, because it really like paused me to grab a pen, write my own like journal notes on the side of the page, because it shifts the mindset from me standing in the shadows, me having some oomph thing that I need to work through, me getting in my own way, very egocentric, right? Like me. And if you think about a deeper question on how can I have the biggest impact, that shifts it away from me and more on the people I serve, right? Which is my whole reason for being. Like my personal motto for decades has been, I am a bridge. Like I love this work. Throw me in a messy circumstance. I'm going to help people make progress on it. We're going to bridge to a new space, whatever that looks like. And it doesn't matter where you were when you started building the bridge. Like I just love that. It's about the people. So of course it makes sense that if we think about having our biggest impact, it takes it away from what I'm doing, if I'm doing a good job, and moves us into the, let's just peel it away and do what is most helpful for people. So it felt like so liberating. Like I just, I shed some weight that I was carrying around because I couldn't find a way through this sort of ego that I, in retrospect, realized my mindset was through like me versus the people that I'm serving, like my real reason for being, which is just a cool shift. And the other thing, yesterday I did some work with Illinois City Council Management Authority, ILCMA. Gosh, like 50 odd people on this Zoom call, super engaged leaders in different cities throughout Illinois doing the hard work, right? Like police, how, like just, it's hard. It's just hard right now. People's behavior is a little crazy. All stuff that's right up my alley, mind you, but you could feel the weight on the call. And at the end, the leader had asked me, shoot, I wish I would have recorded that. Like, do you share your PowerPoint? And I had sort of said, like, I was reluctant, like I knew it went well. I want these city leaders to engage with me. And then I thought, wait a minute. If I want to have the biggest impact, what's the answer to that question? So even looking at it from a Carrie in her own way, egocentric thing, this question is really liberating. When I look at it from a consulting perspective, it peels away some, quandary. Obviously, if my work's good, it's going to generate more work. And the work is good, and it is generating more work, right? Like, I gave her the PowerPoint. Who cares? If I think about nervousness, like, are these people going to contract with me? Growing the business, all the good stuff that new entrepreneurs are just engaged in, right? If somebody engages or doesn't engage, it doesn't matter. I just want to be with the people and the place where I can have the biggest impact. And if I focus on that, I'm going to keep the momentum going. So really like a journey and liberation for me on this question of how can you have the biggest impact. So thank you, Tom Ziegler, for that. And I wonder, when you think through how you can have the biggest impact, how can I help you have the biggest impact? I'd love to think through that with you and journey with you doing that. So my challenge to you is to right now text in some way where you can have the biggest impact. Like, what is that? And so put it in there. I want to have the biggest impact. Me, Carrie, speaking by helping others have their biggest impact. Right? I want to help you with your interpersonal communication so that your teams and you yourself thrive. You build trust, you increase productivity, whatever that looks like. That's how I want to have the biggest impact. Maybe you want to have the biggest impact with your team, your kids, some innovative idea that you're doing, a project. Like, what is that? Put it loud and proud. Forget this factor. Forget your ego getting in the way. Own it right now. Put it down there. I want to loop with you and hear how you're doing. I want to be your accountability partner. Let's shed this skin, this weight, this hesitation together. Get in the center of the room. Own it. Right? How can you have the greatest impact? And if we keep that at the forefront, it's like a lighthouse that's going to guide the way. It's like a North Star that's going to guide the way. And the neat thing about that question, tying it really to sort of my business and its name and why I even call myself North Star Coaching, is because the North Star isn't precisely in the same spot in the sky. It changes a little bit. So our biggest impact will also change over time. I mean, I think that if we look back 3 years ago, you're probably in a different space with a slightly different focus now because of technology, relationships. Maybe you've moved, maybe you're in a new role, maybe you're in a different role. Like, life happens. So how you can have your biggest impact is going to shift. That's good. That's okay. It makes sense, right? As long as we keep our biggest impact at the forefront, then we're always driving towards that North Star, the brightest star, the brightest thing that we can be in the sky. Yeah. Saw some thumbs. Kraken, thank you for just being with me and getting this and being my vulnerable space with me to go, gosh, I have been working on this factor and really intentionally throughout this year. And forget that noise. It's not the It's really just being your best, shining like a North Star, and thinking, how can I have the greatest impact? That's my liberation to share with you. So really just today is about me talking. I'm a woman, an immigrant, a leader, an entrepreneur, trying to figure out how I can have the biggest impact. And that one line in the book made sense to me. Maybe it will to you too. I want to hear about it. Let's hold each other accountable. Bye. See you next Thursday.